I found $14,000 of debt my husband had been hiding from me, folded up small in the pocket of his good coat, and I never said one word to his face about it. What I did instead, I did quiet, $5 at a time, in a place nobody at that diner ever thought to look. And that one little thing that nobody saw and nobody clapped for is what stood me back up after 30 years of handing over every dime I ever earned. My name is Carolyn. When this started, I was 56 years old, and I cooked the morning line at a meat and three off Pio Nono Avenue in Macon, Georgia. Eggs, grits, country ham, biscuits I cut by hand before the sun was up. 30-some years standing on a rubber mat in front of a flat-top griddle, my feet swelling in my shoes by 10 o'clock, my apron smelling like bacon grease no matter how hot I washed it. My hands knew that griddle better than they knew my own husband's face by then. And I gave that place everything I had, the way I gave everybody everything I had. What nobody saw was the after. When the breakfast rush thinned out and I'd wiped down the line alone, my tips folded in my apron pocket, and every single Friday I carried that money home and laid it in Ray's hand the way my mama had laid hers in my daddy's. That was just how it went, where I came from. The man held the money, the woman held the house together. To even ask was to be a suspicious kind of wife, the kind that didn't trust her man, and I had been raised to believe that asking about money was almost the same as cheating, so I never asked. For 30 years I never once asked. If you know what it is to give and never keep a thing back for your own self, stay with me to the end. This channel is for women like me, like you. The woman who feeds the whole world off her griddle and forgets there's a plate with her own name on it. I want to tell you about a watch first, because it matters later. When I was 17, before Ray, before any of it, I took my very first paycheck from a fish camp where I bussed tables, and I walked into a store downtown, and I bought myself a little silver wristwatch. Nothing fancy, but I bought it with my own money that I earned with my own two hands. And I remember standing on that sidewalk, feeling like the time on that watch belonged to me. I wore it till the band wore out, and then I put it in a drawer, and somewhere in 30 years of marriage, I plain forgot I ever had a thing that was only mine. The coat was Ray's church coat, the gray one. I was going through pockets before I took it to the cleaners, and my fingers hit a piece of paper folded up in four, folded small the way you fold something you don't want found. I opened it by the kitchen window. It took me a minute. Numbers, a bank's name up top, a word that kept repeating, lien, second mortgage, past due. A long number I read 3 times before I'd let myself believe it. $14,000 borrowed against our house, the house I'd scrubbed and held up and made a home for 3 decades, and it was mortgaged out from under me to the last shingle, and I had not known one thing about it. Ray was in the front room with the television going. I could hear it, and the refrigerator humming, and him breathing easy in his chair. That easy breathing hurt me worse than the number did, because he'd known. He'd known a long while, and somewhere along the way, he had decided that I didn't need to, that the money was his to worry over, and mine to just keep cooking and keep handing across. My mama's voice came up in me then, the one I'd carried my whole life, that money is a man's business, and a decent woman keeps her nose out of it and trusts her husband. For 30 years I had believed that voice with my whole heart, and maybe that was exactly why I had never put away a single dollar for my own self, never once looked at a bank paper, never asked a question, not because I couldn't, because I'd been taught that minding my own money meant I didn't love my own husband, and I had obeyed that idea my whole life without ever once seeing that I was obeying it. I folded that paper back up in 4. I didn't holler, I didn't march in there and throw it at him. I laid it on the counter and I stood at the sink with the water running over my hands long after they were clean, feeling 30 years of trust go down the drain quiet as dishwater. The one who shook me loose without even meaning to was Miss Hazel. She'd been coming to that diner every morning longer than I'd worked there, near 80 by then, sat at the same end stool, coffee black and one piece of dry toast. She talked slow, the way a woman talks when she's already lived through every kind of weather there is. That week, I must have had it all over my face, because she set her cup down and asked me straight what was eating me, and I don't know why, but I told her. Not all of it. Just that I'd found out we owed money I never knew we owed, and that it wasn't mine to fix, but somehow it was going to be mine to pay. Miss Hazel didn't carry on about it. She buttered her toast slow, and she said it plain, like she was talking about the weather coming in. Honey, putting a little by for your own self ain't stealing from nobody. A woman's got a right to a corner that's hers. I buried 2 husbands and raised 5 children on what I kept back quiet, a little at a time, without asking a soul's permission. Then she went back to her toast, like she'd said nothing at all. I laughed it off. Told her I didn't have a thing to put by, that every dime had somewhere to go before it ever hit my hand. She just looked at me over those glasses and said, "You can't see the whole pot from where you're standing, but a pot fills 1 drop at a time, same as it empties." Then a fella down the counter wanted more coffee, and the morning rolled on. But it stuck. A corner that's hers. It went in sideways like a splinter, the kind that don't hurt every minute, but you know it's there. I went on home. The evening was like every other evening. I fried Ray his supper, washed the skillet, dried it, hung it on the nail. The kitchen linoleum was cold under my feet, and I stood at the sink longer than I needed to with the dish rag in my hand, not drying a thing, because the dish was already dry. There was a hollow in me with no name to it. Not anger, not crying. Just a tiredness of some kind I couldn't have told you the shape of. Before bed, I opened my dresser drawer for no reason at all, and there was that little silver watch dead, the band gone stiff. I held it a minute in the dark. I didn't wind it. I set it back down and closed the drawer slow, like something in there was sleeping. "A corner that's hers," said Miss Hazel's voice way down low, and I turned to face the wall so I wouldn't hear it. And then Friday came, and I did exactly what I'd done for 30 years. I carried my tips home and I laid them in Ray's hand, every bill. Even knowing now where the money went, my hands did it on their own, the folded money in his palm, his easy thank you, the television never even pausing. It wasn't a decision. It was a groove worn so deep, my feet walked it without me. The next morning the watch was up out of the drawer and sitting on the kitchen windowsill, and I did not remember carrying it in there. I looked at it a long while with my coffee going cold, and without thinking it through, the way you do a thing your hands already decided on, I took an empty baking powder tin off the diner shelf that day, peeled the label and pushed it way to the back, behind the flour sacks where nobody ever reached. I couldn't have told you why, but I left it there. It didn't come to me like a plan. It came up like an old tiredness that finally had enough. A trucker left me a few dollars extra on the counter that morning, more than the ticket called for. I went to fold it in with the rest I'd hand to Ray on Friday, and I heard myself think that's his too. And for the first time, that thought I'd carried 1,000 times without ever feeling it, it went bitter on me, like the bottom of the pot. I didn't think I'm going to change my life, nothing like that. I just took one $5 bill, only one, and instead of folding it in with the Friday money, I slid it down into that baking powder tin behind the flour. I didn't call it savings. The word would have shamed me. I just told myself, that one I'm not counting. And I pushed the tin back quick, the way you hide something you're half ashamed of. After that, it got to be a thing, not every day and never a lot. A 5 here when somebody tipped good, a couple ones when the week was thin. Off the tickets, off the books, money that came in my own hand that Ray never saw and never counted. I'd drop it in the tin behind the flour before the rush, before I could talk myself out of it, before the old groove could grab my feet. I didn't add it up. Adding it up scared me, same as that bank paper scared me. I just fed the tin and pushed it back and went on cooking. It was a Thursday night I finally drug that tin out and poured it on the kitchen table after Ray was asleep. I counted it. $300. Built a 5 and a 1 at a time off tips. I told myself I wasn't counting. $300 that did not belong to the house, did not belong to Ray, did not belong to the bank. It belonged to me. It was less than he'd borrowed against the roof in a single afternoon, without a word to me. But it sat different in my hand. It weighed different. And right about when I started to breathe a little, the old fear came back around. Ray came in one evening, worked up about the lien, said the bank wanted more or we'd lose the place, said surely I'd been keeping some of those tips back and we needed every cent. And by pure 30-year reflex, I went down to that diner before light the next morning, pulled the tin out from behind the flour, and started gathering up the bills to carry to him. My hands, doing it by themselves. Same as always. I had that money cupped in my apron when I caught myself in the dark glass of the pie case. And this time, I saw it. I saw a woman emptying herself out again to plug a hole she didn't dig. And for the first time, I put a name on the thing in my chest, standing there alone in that cold kitchen before sunup. It wasn't love. It wasn't duty either. It was fear, plain fear, that he'd leave, that I'd be the bad wife, that my mama's voice had been right about me all along. I sat down on the stool by the prep table. I took that little silver watch out of my apron pocket, where I'd taken to carrying it, and I held it in my fist, till the back of it pressed a mark in my palm, and Miss Hazel came back to me whole this time. Putting a little by for your own self ain't stealing from nobody. A woman's got a right to a corner that's hers. There's a kind of brave nobody puts on the television. It's the brave of a woman who keeps something back for her own self after a whole life of being told that keeping is the same as stealing. And sometimes that whole brave fits inside an empty baking powder tin behind the flour, where the only person who knows it's there is the one who finally decided she counted too. That morning, I did not carry the tin to Ray. I pushed it back behind the flour where it lived, and the next day, cutting my biscuits out before light, my hands shook a little, but the cutter came down clean and round, everyone. It didn't turn around all at once. It turned the way real things turn, slow, and scared the whole way. The months went by, the tin filled up and emptied into things that were finally mine. I went and got the back tooth fixed that I'd been chewing around for 2 years. I bought a good pair of shoes with cushion in them for standing the line, and I came to see that the tin wasn't for hiding from Ray. It was so I'd never again have to depend on somebody else's say-so to take care of my own body. The debt. We faced it the way we could, the two of us, but this time I sat at that table with the papers and I asked the questions, and my voice did not shake. I knew what we owed to the dollar because I made myself look. But the proof wasn't the money. The proof came on a Friday. Ray held out his hand for the diner money the way he had 10,000 Fridays, that same easy smile. And I didn't lay it all in his palm. I counted out what went in my tin first, slow, right there in the kitchen where he could see, and I handed him the rest. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't explain myself or apologize. I just did the thing I'd been too scared to do for 30 years, out in the open, like I'd always had the right, because I had. That evening at the diner, I took the little silver watch out of my apron, and instead of slipping it back in the drawer at home, hidden, I had the man at the jewelry counter put a new band on it, and I buckled it on my wrist where every customer at that counter could see it. The watch the 17-year-old girl bought with her own first money, back when she still knew her time was hers. A young woman came in not long after, 30s maybe, eyes down, ordered coffee and nothing else because that was all she had. While I poured it, she pulled something out of her purse without meaning to, a paper folded up in 4, a bank's name across the top, and she shoved it back down quick like it was hot to the touch. Her hands were shaking. I knew that hand, not her face. The hand, that way of folding a paper up in 4 and hiding it like it was your own shame when the shame belonged to somebody else. It was me, exactly me, that evening at the kitchen sink, before I ever learned that keeping a little back for yourself doesn't rob a living soul. I was looking at my own self, the way I'd looked at my own life for 30 years. I didn't preach at her. I didn't tell her it'd all work out. I refilled her cup she hadn't asked refilled, and I asked after her babies, and I let her talk. And while I wiped the counter down between us, eyes on the rag, the way you talk about the weather, I said the thing out loud. Putting a little by for your own self ain't stealing from nobody, honey. A woman's got a right to a corner that's hers. She looked up at me. She didn't say anything back. But something in her shoulders came down off her ears, just a little. Before she left, I went and got an empty baking powder tin from the back, peeled the label off it right there in front of her, and set it on the counter by her cup. Start with one, I told her. One you tell yourself you ain't counting. Don't tell a soul. Just let it grow its legs under it. She took the tin, not quite understanding, the way I hadn't understood the first time. But she carried it out the door with her, and I touched the watch on my wrist, the one that went from a dead drawer to the broad light of day. And I thought about a pot, filling one drop at a time, same as it empties. Outside, the Macon heat sat heavy on Pio Nono, but in that diner, for the first time in 30 years, there wasn't one single paper folded up in four hid in any pocket of mine. I'd quit having anything to hide. If you made it all the way here, let me ask you something. Down below in the comments, type the words Day 1 and tell me one thing you're going to keep back for your own self this week. It don't have to be money, an hour, a no you've been swallowing for years. I read every comment, every single one, because a woman who keeps a little back for herself is a woman remembering she counts, and that deserves for somebody to see it. And if this story touched something in you, send it on to your sister, to a friend, to the woman you know who gives it all and keeps none of it. Sometimes one true thing, landing at the right time, is what loosens a knot somebody's carried for years. If you're not part of this place yet, subscribe and tap that little bell. Every week we sit down right here and tell about women the world had counted out, women who weren't beat, just quiet. This corner is yours, from one woman to another. And if you want to take the first step today, there's a free app that will help you bring a little order to all of this, in your own time, your own way. The link is down in the comments. It's the tool I never had, and you've got it right there in your hand. Take care of your own self, honey. Keep a little back. Even if it's $1, nobody counts. And don't forget what an old woman told me one morning over dry toast and black coffee. Putting a little by for your own self ain't stealing from nobody. A woman's got a right to a corner that's hers. I'll see you in the next story.